Okay, so today I wanted to do a quick little character analysis of Pomni from Gooseworx's The Amazing Digital Circus. Okay, so initially this was gonna be like a review of the pilot as a whole, but that shit turned out to be like 40 damn minutes long, and I was like, I ain't gonna edit all that shit, okay? And plus, I know good and damn guarantee well, y'all ain't trying to listen to me for like 40 minutes. Like, let's just keep it real. It's okay. You're not hurting my feelings with that, okay? Let's just go on with the analysis. Okay, so let's start with Pomni's appearance. Let me just say that, first of all, personally, I like the design, okay? But it's not a matter of whether or not I like it, or honestly, even if you like it, because we're talking about the principles of design of a character. So using my general background knowledge of like what makes a great character design, the general principles or rules of thumb I try to keep in mind are who the character is, what the character is meant to do or stand for, and then like the world that they're in all together. And I'd argue that for me, this is like one of the most important rules that I wouldn't recommend breaking or bending too much, because like you don't want to end up making a character that looks like a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu. Like, they might not actually be written like a Mary Sue or what have you, but like you don't want it to look like one either. Like, your character should look like they belong in a universe that they're in, not like they snuck in through the back door. You know what I mean? Now, I think these principles are pretty solid. Okay, I think they're pretty solid. And after a bit of research on what others have to say about character design, there are like 3 distinctive things that I noticed people keep mentioning that I didn't, for the most part. Shape or silhouette, color, and I will call it exaggeration, because that is how it was presented to me. Without a doubt, the Amazing Digital Circus takes the cake when it comes down to silhouettes. Like, I checked out Gooseworx's DeviantArt, which I recommend, and her grasp of shape in character design is just phenomenal. Like, I envy it, because I suck at using shape and just shape language when it comes down to character designs. So I recommend you check out her DeviantArt, because it's pretty cool. As such, I'm certain this explains the greatness of shape language and the silhouettes of, you know, the digital circus characters. Like, again, you can just look at old girl's DeviantArt and you can see why she was pretty fucking good at it, you know. Colors, I think, are also pretty great for the most part. As you can see, like, some characters have more going on color wise compared to others, but thank goodness the show is in 3D and you don't have to use Zoopal's color palette again and again and again, or even Pomni's, because, you know, even she kind of has like a lot going on, in my opinion, but whatever. As for her actual design itself, like, right off the bat, it's like, we love it. Okay, we love it, because it is a pretty distinctive look. Like, she's a jester, not a clown, not a cute circus themed attendant or some shit like that. A jester, and I love that. I bet she doesn't, but I love it. The overall fit checks out. You know, it allows Pomni to like fit in with the rest of the characters. And she fits in with the aesthetic of the show, which is important to me. But it also is just so distinctive to her. Like, I can't really say there's much of anything left to be desired from the character's design at all. It pretty much does, for the most part. Like, just, I don't know. I mean, it does pretty much what it's supposed to do, except, actually, on second thought, except it makes it difficult to really gauge, like, who she is as I recall, when people end up trapped in the world of, you know, the digital circus, the amazing digital circus, they seem to forget a lot about their past lives. Like, they even forget things like their names, which had me thinking, how much do people forget exactly? Or maybe, like, the better question is, what do they remember? I feel like we can sort of transition from analyzing the physical aspect of Pomni now to the personality aspect. If these characters apparently don't even remember their own names, then I wonder how much do they remember, and how much does that affect their characters? And I don't just mean like character as in like character. I mean character as in their personalities as depicted in the pilot. Now, since this is a pilot, everything, and I mean everything, is subject to change, okay? Pomni might seem like how she is now in the pilot, but that might be very different than who she appears to be in episode 1 or episode 2, depending on if they make the pilot a canon episode or not. As she appears in the pilot, as well as a few like promotional items, Pomni seems to be someone that you could describe in like one word, which is anxious, or as I like to call her, a hot ass mess. This poor old girl is frazzled. Like, she's lost, y'all. She's confused. She is lost in a sauce. Like, she is so confused. That said, there are other aspects of Pomni's personality that you can pick up on, you know, throughout the pilot. Like, for instance, you can gather that she's probably someone who will at least try to do the right thing. So she's probably someone that you could call good-hearted. She's going to at least try to do the right thing. This can be inferred based on a scene where Ragatha basically gets her ass dragged by abstracted Kaufmo and starts glitching and bugging and basically just straight up tweaking. Like, she's tweaking the fuck out. She reaches out for Pomni, who's about to run for her damn life, and, you know, honestly, I think Pomni actually did run, if I remember right. I think she got around the whole corner and everything. She got around the whole corner and everything. But personally, I don't know. Personally, I mean, I felt like that was kind of just like real as fuck. Like, I can't really blame her, because like, she doesn't even know the girl like that, and you know, you tweaking the fuck out. Like, you're really gonna put her character to the test on a spot like that? Like, anyway, Pomni definitely, like, I don't know. Pomni definitely looks down at that girl Ragatha. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't even know you like that. So, but luckily for Ragatha, Pomni chooses to at least attempt, you know, to be a good person. Pomni chooses to help her, even though Kaufmo is like this close to getting ready to snap her little jesty ass in half. Nevertheless, Pomni shows the audience that she is someone who has a bit of good in her heart. Okay, she is someone who is sympathetic to others and to their plight, even if she's just not really in a position to help them for real. Also, I think it shows that she's courageous, and she might even turn out to be more courageous than we expect. Recall the definition of courage: the ability to act despite the feeling of fear. My favorite quote about courage, and y'all have likely heard it too, is the quote, "Courage is not the absence of fear, it is to feel the fear and do it anyway." By Anonymous, because I don't know who that came from. Pomni is much like, and this might sound a little left field, but bear with me, Pomni is much like Courage from the American sitcom Courage the Cowardly Dog. This is treading into theory land a little bit, but bear with me. I believe the universe Pomni has found herself in is designed to push her toward failure. In fact, I think the universe wants her to fail. As much as I imagine Caine insisting, for the most part, that the grounds is a place for the world's residents to have all kinds of stupid, dangerous fun, no cap, emphasis on dangerous, the reality that both Pomni and the audience will recognize right away is that the world Pomni's in wants her to fail. There will be traps. There will be dangerous, potentially abstract, no-go zones. There will be mysterious locations, hotspots that maybe one or two characters knew existed, and then, spots of mystery or intrigue that maybe a character doesn't want others to know about. Or I hope so, because I love conflict. I think every story needs conflict, plus I love me a good old mystery in any genre of a series, so there's that too. And bottom line, Pomni is in an unfamiliar place, surrounded by unfamiliar faces, telling her strange, abstract things in a weird circus-themed world. It's such an interesting, terrible predicament Pomni has found herself in. Along the way, she will likely find herself in the hot seat too many times to count. She'll likely panic, she'll be scared, and look at her. She's small, she's thin, she's not the bravest soldier, she's a little timid, she's soft-spoken. Who's to say she can do it? Who's to say she won't fail? And so, like courage, I believe Pomni's relationship with courageousness will likely be the spine of her character arc in the hopefully near enough future. What would make it even more fun for me, though, would definitely be if, as I was sort of getting at, I think, what would be even more fun for me is if one of the characters of the main cast got into Pomni's way. It would be so interesting to me if one of the main characters, apart from Caine or Bubble, actively stood in Pomni's way as far as finding the exit goes, or even as far as exploring the world itself. Maybe there's something, like I was saying, maybe there's something that one character knows that they don't want the others, let alone Pomni, to know about, I just think it would be so interesting. It adds a little bit of mystery, a little bit of spice, but that's just speculation. And that speculation leads me back to the question I asked y'all before, which was, what do the characters remember? Like I said, we know now that when people find themselves no-clipped, so to speak, into the world of TADC, and no-clipping isn't canon or anything. It's not canon. It's just a term that I'm using. But when characters find themselves, or when people, I should say, find themselves no-clipped into this weird-ass circus-themed universe, apparently those people forget their names. And oddly, they seem to at least kinda remember what happens right before they were transported there. At least that's what it seems like. Pomni remembered, so I'm just gonna assume that other characters remember. I don't know if they remember, they still know, or if they did remember when they first got there and maybe forgot over time. But oddly, it sort of seems like, at least when you first get there, you kind of remember what happened prior, but what about everything else? Do they forget their culture, their ethnicity, their job occupation, if they had one? What about their hobbies? Who they did these hobbies with? Where? Why? What about things they like to eat or drink? If they smoke, if they smoked, or if they drank alcohol. The questions remain. What about their aspirations from when they were human? Surely there were goals that they had in mind before there were no clips into that circus, surely there were things they were meaning to do. How does Pomni attribute herself to any of these things? Just how much of these characters are themselves? So how much of Pomni is the real Pomni? Or is any of that there at all? Something I've wondered about regarding Pomni as a character, the moment I finished the pilot, was if she presumably doesn't remember much, if anything, about her previous life, then why does she even want to go back? Does she even remember anything about it? Now, I mean, I don't know, maybe everyone does remember everything about their lives except for their names, and they just don't talk about it or something. I'm not sure, because that wasn't established in the pilot, so I don't know. I just feel like I would like Pomni as a protagonist even more if I knew why she wanted what she wanted. Knowing why Pomni cares is what will make me care. You know what I mean? It feels like Pomni is a little indifferent to the goal. Obviously, escaping would be great for her and others, but without a personal motivation, it seems like a goal she's working toward only because narrative-wise, it just makes the most sense. Like, it's the most obvious choice for a narrative like this. But it doesn't feel personal. It feels like she's doing it because, again, the narrative calls for something like that to happen, not because Pomni actually cares and has a genuine desire motivating her to work toward the goal of escaping this circus-like place. No light at the end of the tunnel, no promise that must be kept, none of that. And I guess that's all I've got for y'all tonight, actually. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Like, what do you think of Pomni? What do you think of the other characters even? What other kinds of distinctive traits do y'all think Pomni has that I probably didn't mention or forgot to mention? What do you think Pomni's character arc will be? Or if you think you've got an idea as to what her personal motivation is, talk about it in the comments below. Because, you know, like I was saying, like, I personally couldn't really see what escaping really meant to Pomni specifically. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe you saw something in a pilot that I didn't see or wasn't paying attention to. I don't know. Let me know. And if nothing else, like, what are you most excited to explore in the future regarding the Amazing Digital Circus? With that said, I'm XL Latrina, but you can just call me Latrina, and I make animatics, speed paints, commentary every now and then. Every blue moon is what it is. If it sounds fine to you, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, all of you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night.